He's from Baltimore, Maryland, but he lives in the city now, and his work has appeared in Brilliant Corners, a journal of jazz and literature. Samizdat, is that how you say it? How do you say it? Samizdat. All right. I've never known. Black Resistance Noir, the Cincinnati Review, Sparkling Blank, and Sean's journal, Conversations at the Wartime Cafe, A Decade of War. He's currently working on his first collection of poems, We, the Beautifully Broken. And he has been coming here for quite some time, and I've been asking him to read, and he's like, no, you never come to my readings. You never come to my readings. And I'm like, what if you featured here? And he's like, fine. So please give Nick Johnson a big round of applause.
Yeah! Woo! So thank you, Holly, for having me and for being here to hear me read for the first time. So for those of you who know me, I do these things called jazzphorisms. They're like jazzy aphorisms, and they're little short, like terse poems. So I have a few of those. Jazzphorism. A human touch, and nimble fingers to knit these knots, and not for naught, for every noose needs a nape. Or is it every nape needs a noose? Either way, a neck is a nuisance. Jazzphorism, the current scene. In God we trust. He's the company we keep trying to save. We're laying the devil down in the details, the fine stitching. Cotton is still king, still ivory. Picture it pristine, but a funky indigo under a lumen light. Lay say something's got to suffer for a smile to fit imperially across your lip. Jazzphorism, what the saxophone says. Be breath or be brief. You can't trade me a sentence for a song. Even a parrot knows his lines, knows words don't hold water. Taste the savory succotash I'm laying on these white plates. So I thought I knew the order in which I would read, but I'm gonna switch it up and go to the Manhattan Project, which is featured in Sean's anthology, which is a great anthology about the war and 9/11 and the consequences after that, and the decade of war that we've been in, or we were in, or, you know, spilling over. Yeah, exactly. The Manhattan Project. And this is sort of focused around the Islamic Center that they were planning on building in New York, and I need to check and see what's happening there, but they were protesting, and this sort of stems from that, and then it spills over into other xenophobic areas, so you'll pick up all that stuff. The Manhattan Project 2. I'm watching a video, the protest in Lower Manhattan, a sea of poster boards stapled to wooden posts. Islam is an ideology, a false religion of hate. And I am smelling burnt oak crucifixes, and I can't hear the old man dressed up in the Confederate flag buttoned down, but he is saying boy, he is saying nigger, and the crowd chants, no mosque, but I swear, sometimes they slip in a no mas, no mas, no mas mexicanos. We're taking back America. We're doing equations. Let X be Pearl Harbor and Y 9/11, and the solution is internment camps, not cultural centers, not on my son's grave. The Manhattan Project 3. Blood and oil in the water. Stick with the wine. No habla inglés. We've got signs against that. K-U. Out with the old, out with the bring me your poor, in with the get the fuck out of Dodge, the hasta la vista, baby. We still got little boys and fat men missiles to knock you in your Nagasaki. This is war. We stockpiles and people and pyrotechnics. It looks like 4th of July over your country. The Manhattan Project. 4. Maybe Webster defines terrorism as 2 planes streaking through the blue and white day into towers of red-blooded Americans. I'm not sure. It is, however, a contract for war signed in soot and bent steel. I know its sound, the doorknob hitting my wall, my pretend father thundering in my bedroom like a stormtrooper, yanking me out of the night before I knew how to shave myself. It is being black where the cops shine their lights, where southern gentlemen show off their sheets, printed against this white backdrop. I feel eyes glancing over, reading, defining. They want me to believe believe terrorism is foreign, but for me, it has always been domestic. Manhattan Project 5. You talk to the wall when the light is just so, and in the porous concrete you see her face. I am a rock in their river. You recite this to her. Each day your voice sounding less and less like your own. My bits lining the bank, shining in the sun. Don't turn your eyes when they kill me. And now you're not sure that the words are yours, but they comfort you. Hooded and strapped down, water pouring in, words spilling out. Later in your cell, you'll rub your hands along the wall saying, I am a rock in their river, trying to forget how flesh feels. Grandpa's Pockets. Summers I spent perched in your lap, and sometimes you'd allow me a search. I'd line my findings along the table, thimble, coins, a button or two, a peach pit from last spring, to keep my fingers busy now that the work's dried up. Days were no longer adding up but carving away. Soon the wind will play me like a flute. You never said what it would sound like. I imagined it would be like falling snow, so soft I'd barely hear. When the hospital took your pants, they gave you a gown, a gusty room. We visited every day. I sat close, listened as they made decisions. When it was time, they placed me in the hallway in that cracked vinyl chair, my thumb thimbled finger fiddling the peach pit in my pockets, singing with you. Wow. And the final few poems that I'm in with are from a new series that I'm working on that's only 4 poems long, but hopefully it'll get longer. It's called Music for Mussolini. There's always an occupation and a rifle at someone's back, always a feeling and a clock on the wall, clumped salt in the shaker and ships on the horizon. Be it stars or starvation, compasses are pointing. Embarrassed by all these bodies undone in the daylight, somewhere between Old Testament and tomorrow, you sit on a hill like Li Po, your heart swelling like the feet of Sisyphus. Music for Mussolini. He says the evening was iced tea in his mason jar, and you're so young, you know what he means, how to talk to him. He's stretched across the bed, a barge at sea, wants to be in his chair. Remember when his legs worked? You don't. He wants to watch you run, skip around like his memory, your foot, feel your steps. Your mother's not even born yet. How to explain your existence? He could hop the hill faster than a mail truck. Why can't you? He asked, moving his face towards the sun, moving his face towards you, his smile. See it as confirmation. Ignore his hand shaking below the sheet, eyes reflecting the ward walls. If only he could remember, he might know you're not just one luminous tile in that sun-drenched room of hundreds. Music for Mussolini. And there's no telling, but I'm certain I'd like to be dust, swept from the mausoleum floor. And often there are days like this, when I wake in the same body, and what I want the least shimmers like an earring in the lobe of a lover, and I think you are the broom pushing everything out of reach. Music for Mussolini. How the rock offers itself to the shore. I am studying what stays, tracing with this finger the shadows where the frames once hung. What is still with us? Which words are we using these days? And where can I find them? The last drop of wine rolls off the glass. You've said something. I have it written here. The night lies like hot iron under a hammer, and took it to mean all the fires are figurative, and asked, how then shall we ever be extinguished? Thank you.